Parthivan Kanavu, English translation by Anand Kannan, narrated by Sujata Anand. Book 3, Chapter 11 The Familiar Voice. Vikraman was in trouble as soon as he jumped into the river. The ferocious currents tossed him around. He summoned all his strength and determination to rise to the surface of the river. He started swimming at an angle aligned with the flow of water. He remembered the horse and looked around, worried that it might have been swept away by the river. He saw that it was struggling to get ashore, roughly where he entered the river. He was relieved that at least the horse would live. He was beginning to lose hope of survival. As he neared the bank, the current was getting stronger. The river was roaring with such fearsome force that it might have swept away mighty elephants. Vikraman's arms started tiring. Getting ashore started seeming impossible. The irony of fate, he thought. After all my dreams, all the ambitions end here. My fantasies end in vain, just like my father's did. He had the glory of death on the battlefield. My premature end is in a river. Such an end after all the plans and efforts to get here. I couldn't even see my mother. Shouldn't I at least have lived until meeting her? I should have lived at least until I reassured her that I had redeemed the pledge I made to father. I wouldn't have minded dying after telling mother that I am an independent king. I had been planning to find the lotus-eyed girl and asking her to accompany me to Senbaga Island, regardless of who she might be. Would she have been expecting me? Would she be disappointed that I did not turn up? I'm going without returning the horse to the spy chief. Vikraman's arms were tired. His body seemed to have become too heavy to carry. I can't go on, he thought. What is that dark thing that is being swept by the river? Is it a tree? I might be able to hold on to the tree. Oh no, the tree is drifting away. There is no hope now. Vikraman's vision was darkening. His consciousness was slipping away. He remembered Ponnan. When Vikraman was learning to swim, there were a few occasions when he was tired to the point of exhaustion. Ponnan used to save him when he felt he was about to drown. Will Ponnan save me now? Who was there? Does that not look like Ponnan? Can't be. I am really hallucinating. My mother? A large wave hit him. He lost consciousness. Vikraman gradually regained consciousness. From far away, a faint voice was calling, "My king!" This sounds like a familiar voice. This sounds like Ponnan, the oarsman. Is this real? So, that was not a hallucination. Vikraman recalled getting caught in the flash flood and giving up in exhaustion and wondered, is this the voice one hears in the afterlife? His eyes had been closed. Opening his eyes required a big effort. He opened his eyes and realized it was indeed Ponnan. Ponnan was drenched. In addition, his eyes were watering as well. Ponna, is it really you or am I dreaming? My king, I was about to ask the same question. Am I dreaming? Or did I really save my king Vikraman? Is it true that you really survived the flood and started talking? I cannot believe any of this. If only Valli was here. Ponnan was seated at the root of a large peepal tree at the river bank. He had placed Vikraman's head on his lap. The rain had slowed down to a drizzle. The wind was cold and damp. Dusk was setting in. It was getting dark. Vikraman jumped up to sit upright. Ponna, it is really me. Listen to this tale of miracle. My very last thought before losing consciousness was of you. When I was learning to swim in River Kaveri, there were several occasions when I had drained the last bit of energy. You had pulled me into your boat on those occasions. I remembered those days and wished you would come again to save me. I saw a figure of a man on the river bank and wondered if it was you. I told myself that I was imagining it before I went into the water. It turned out to be you. It was a miracle. How did you happen to be here at the right time? I am so amazed, my king. Do you see that pavilion? He pointed to a mandap, traveler's pavilion at a distance. When it started raining heavily, I took shelter in that pavilion. I was watching the currents gather strength. I saw a horse and a rider on the other shore trying to cross the river. I didn't recognize you. Just as I was thinking how dangerous it would be to get in, you rode into the river. I saw that you jumped into the river and tried to get to the shore. I jumped in when I realized you were exhausted. My king, I am ashamed to confess that I worried for a moment that I might drown in the effort. I shook off that thought and jumped in. I shudder to think what would have happened if I did not summon the courage. He closed his eyes and shivered at the thought. Punna, why do you think about that now? Our family deity, Lord Murugan, gave you the courage. No, actually, the spirit of King Parthiban has been assisting me in all times of trouble. Leave that aside. Let's get to important things. Is the queen well? When Ponnan heard the queen, he covered his face with his hands and started sobbing. Vikraman's heart skipped a beat at this reaction. What happened, Ponna? Is the queen dead? No, my king. The queen mother is alive, but I don't know where. Life returned to Vikraman's face. How did that happen? I left her in your custody. How could you be so careless? My king, I have a lot to tell you. You are already wet, and the cold wind can't be good for you. Let's go to the pavilion. Plenty to tell you and ask you. It is getting dark too, said Ponnan. They walked to the pavilion. End of chapter 11.